inside. Thursday night, how's it going? Alright, strip back, good crack, multi-trade podcast. Share the knowledge you know, help to make our sector grow. Everybody's learning from experts and the journeyman. Insights.
Welcome to another bonus episode of the Stripped Back podcast, sponsored by Snickers Workwear Ireland and in association with N2 Electrical Wholesalers in Ashbourne. I'm Stephen Buckley, and this is a topic that's quite personal to me. It's something I've wanted to talk about for a while because I know there are young people out there right now sitting in secondary school feeling exactly the way I felt. And if this episode reaches even one person who is questioning whether they're capable of succeeding in the trade industry, then this will be worth doing. Now, before I go any further, I want to just make it clear that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist or a specialist in neurodiversity. I'm simply a dad to a daughter with AuDHD and a son with autism. And through my daughter's diagnosis especially, I found myself looking back at my own childhood and school experience in a completely different light. I'm currently undiagnosed myself, but when I look at my daughter, when I see certain traits, certain behaviours, certain stims, certain ways she processes the world, I see so much of myself in her. Things I did as a child, things I still do now, things that for years I just thought were quirks of my personality. And honestly, if I went for an assessment tomorrow and I was told I had ADHD or AuADHD, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. In fact, I think it would explain a lot to me. It would explain my school experience. It would explain why certain things felt so difficult for me. Why I could focus intensely on things I loved, yet struggled massively with things that didn't interest me. Why I spent years masking. Why I often felt different but never really knew why. And that's why I wanted to record this episode. Because there are more and more young people today receiving diagnoses or recognising traits within themselves. And while awareness has improved massively, I still think many students are going through a school system that isn't always set up to bring out the very best in them. For some young people, school can become a really dark place. Not because they're not intelligent, not because they're lazy, not because they don't have potential, but because the way they're expected to learn doesn't match the way their brain works. And that's an important distinction. I know there's students listening to this right now who are counting down the days until they leave school. I know because I was one of them. When I was around 15 or 16 years old, I knew one thing. I wanted out and I wanted a trade. I wasn't dreaming about university. I wasn't looking at college opportunities. I wasn't excited by years in the classroom based around education. The idea of a trade appealed to me because it felt practical, hands-on, real. And I thought to myself, get me out on site, let me work with my hands, let me learn by doing. And if I'm being honest, I probably saw an apprenticeship as my escape route from traditional education. I thought it would be most practical, no academia, no theory, mostly hands-on, mostly learning through experience. And then when I started my apprenticeship, and I got a big shock because there was still loads of theory to learn. A lot of theory, electrical theory, regulations, calculations, The exams, the studying that comes with the exams, the classroom learning, all things that I hadn't really considered when I was dreaming about becoming an electrician. The practical side was exactly what I hoped it would be, but the academic side was much bigger than I expected. And that's something I want young people to understand today. An apprenticeship isn't the easy route. There is a huge difference. You're still learning, you're still studying, you're still developing knowledge, you're still being assessed. The difference is that you're connecting that learning to something tangible, something you're interested in, something you can see, something you can touch. And for many neurodivergent people, that connection can make all the difference, because when you're interested in something, amazing things can happen. It's like a window opens, a switch is being flipped. You suddenly find yourself wanting to learn, wanting to understand, wanting to improve. And that's something I experienced myself. For years I struggled with education. Then I found something that genuinely interested me. Suddenly I was learning without even realizing I was learning. That's the power of finding your thing. A question that comes up a lot. Should you leave school after your junior cert and pursue an apprenticeship as soon as possible, or should you stay and complete your leaving cert? And the honest answer to this, there isn't a right or wrong. Every person is different. Every family situation is different. Every student is different. For some people, staying on and completing their leaving cert is absolutely the right decision. It gives them more options, more maturity, more confidence, more life experience. For others, an earlier move towards an apprenticeship may be exactly what they need at that point. Neither route defines your future success. I've met brilliant tradespeople who completed their leaving cert, and I've met brilliant tradespeople who didn't. I've met apprentices who struggled in school but thrived in the trade. I've met apprentices who were top of the class in school. Success doesn't belong to one pathway. It belongs to the people who keep showing up and keep trying. What matters most is understanding yourself, understanding your strengths, understanding your challenges, and putting supports in place where you need them. If you are neurodivergent and considering an apprenticeship, don't assume your school experience defines your future educational experience. Just because mainstream school wasn't enjoyable doesn't mean learning isn't for you. Just because school wasn't enjoyable doesn't mean learning isn't for you. Yes, I said it twice, but sometimes that just needs to sink in. Sometimes it's the environment that is the problem, not the person. And apprenticeships can provide a completely different learning environment. One where you're applying knowledge in real world situations. One where you can see the purpose behind what you are learning. One where your strengths can shine. And thankfully there are more supports available than ever now. Sulis has a range of supports available for apprentices who need additional assistance throughout their apprenticeship journey. If you've ever worried about the academic side, don't let fear stop you from making that first step. Reach out to Sulis, ask questions, learn what's available. Find out what supports exist before you convince yourself you can't do it. Because the reality is, there are people whose jobs is there to help you succeed. And that's exactly what they want to do. The same goes for employers. When you're applying for an apprenticeship, don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. Don't be afraid to communicate your needs to your employer. A good employer isn't looking for perfection. A good employer is looking for attitude, motivation, reliability, a willingness to learn, good work ethic. And if they see someone who's eager to learn the trade and willing to put in the effort, many will help support them in areas that they find challenging. The best employers understand that everyone learns differently, and the best employers recognise potential. We also live in a time where there are more learning supports available outside of the formal education system than ever before. There are independent trainers running grinds and support classes. We've had one of them on the podcast, John Doheny. John has dedicated a huge amount of time to helping apprentices understand the electrical theory and the craft study side. And I'm sure there are many more doing similar work across different trades as well. The support network today is far bigger than it was for many of us when we served our time. Another great resource as well is Apprentice Ireland. It's run by a previous guest of the podcast, Wayne Ahern, and is specifically designed to help people navigate the apprenticeship world. Whether you're looking just for information, direction, or simply just trying to understand where to start, it's well worth checking out his page. And that's the message I want to leave you with today. Don't be afraid to try. Don't let difficult school experiences convince you that you are not capable. Don't let a diagnosis define what you can or can't achieve. Don't let someone else's opinion decide your future, because every single person listening to this today has potential. Every single person. Sometimes that potential just needs the right environment to grow. Sometimes it needs the right support. Sometimes it needs the right opportunity. And sometimes it just needs someone to tell you that it's okay to believe in yourself. If you're a parent listening to this, support your child's interests. If you're a teacher listening to this, recognise that success doesn't always look the same. And if you're a student listening to this, wondering whether you're capable of becoming an apprentice despite struggling in school, you absolutely can be. Will it be easy? Not always. Will there be challenges? Definitely. But challenges don't mean it's impossible. The trade industry is full of people who took unconventional routes, people who doubted themselves, people who struggled academically, people who were told they weren't suited to education, yet somehow found their place, found their confidence, found their career, and found success. Your future shouldn't be determined by your worst experience in education. It should be shaped by your willingness to keep learning, keep growing, and keep believing in what you're capable of becoming. Take care, everyone. Have a good one.